Hey. Hello and welcome. So it's Thursday, time for Business Blondes, and we are only three of us at the minute, but we're about to be four. Sam's unfortunately having a few technical difficulties, and I've just been joined by the neighbour's dog. So do forgive me for that very loud barking that's in the background. But I don't know about everybody else. It's that muggy here that I've just had to go with opening the windows on the off chance that we might be able to get some release, I guess. And that brings me to our subject today. So we want to talk about how do we deal with disappointment. I'm sure, like everybody, we had the highs and then the lows of the weekend. And for me, the piece that was really important was that we tried really hard and they pulled together as a team, and the way that they worked together as a team was absolutely uplifting and should give us all hope. And it's been really saddening for me to see how some people have taken that news and used it as an opportunity to be abusive. But I guess that's for another debate and another conversation. But Caroline, my lovely, how's your week been?
It's been a week where I'm going to say to my students how to have a filter in your business, because I've got some really interesting clients at the moment, but in the recent months, one or two have slipped through, which I shouldn't really have taken on as clients. And I think sometimes it's about trusting your instinct. I think Sam's about to join us, and I think, in these difficult times, we often say yes to things and we need to think twice about that. So my week's been good, but I'm going to sort of help my students, my trainee coaches and my graduate coaches decide what is a good client, what makes a good client, what would be a client who you really truly can help, or one that you're battling with. And because that's no fun for anyone, it's not fun for you or the client. So it's been a week of I just need to refine my message, and I shall do a post on it. But it's been getting me to think that sometimes we do all need to have a bit of a filter in our businesses about what we say yes to and who we say yes to as well.
Oh, I love that. And I think you're so right. Finding that filter or setting those boundaries. I know you're always so eloquent at setting yours and making sure that you get the right amount of pink time in there, and you're giving yourself that self-care. It's been one of the things I've been historically very, very bad at. And it takes its toll, doesn't it, if you don't set that time aside.
Yeah.
Sam, my lovely, welcome.
Hello.
How's your week been?
Hi, lovely ladies. Apologies for my delay. I've had a few technical issues. My internet just decides to go down 5 minutes before we are due to go live. So I'm streaming from my phone, so I hope that you can see and hear me okay. I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, it's been a crazy, crazy week. My little one breaks up from school tomorrow, so it's just been, fitting all those things in that you need to fit in before that happens, and then you have the crazy 6 weeks of juggling and trying to find guilt-free balance. So that's what my next 6 weeks will hold. But yeah, it's been a good week. Great to see some real positivity out there, some crazy stuff going on with COVID still, but some real good injections of motivation. So yeah, all good, thank you.
I love it, and you're so right. Finding that guilt-free time for yourself can be so hard, can't it? But we do need to find that, and lovely to have you with us. And now, my lovely Penny, how about you? How's your week been?
A little bit hectic, actually. So it's interesting listening to you about your boundaries. I'm a little bit. I think I've got. Actually, I just want to share this with you because I think this is quite interesting. There's this quite a lot of this hustling type culture that a lot of coaches, a lot of people say I can get you to 6-7 figure business have created, and I'm surprised by how many people have gone down that path. And obviously, when I wrote my book Business is Personal, it's when I really wanted to redefine my life expectations and really get in tune with who I was as a person, rather than thinking, well, they're doing it, I've got to carry on that path, or even I've been on that path and I need to carry on that path, which was my dilemma. And I've been contacted just suddenly by a number of people saying I've been being coached by somebody who has given me overwhelm. And I've had 3 people this week contact me about that. And I think that's really, really interesting, because I think, I mean, I never put myself forward as a coach, more as a mentor, but obviously I use coaching techniques. But I just think it is really interesting side of whether or not that world has had its day, and people are starting to realize that is not the world I want to step into. It's the world I thought I had to step into. Or I don't know what's going on, but I don't know whether anybody else has experienced that. But, you know, I like to coach very calmly and make sure I'm matching the energy. And if somebody needs to get out of their own comfort zone, then that's different, but you need to understand that. But I don't know whether you're experiencing that, Carol-Anne.
Well, I think that's really poor coaching if they're doing that to a client, because it's the easiest thing in the world to get your toolkit out and say to your client, here, have this. And the client's like, whoa, because sometimes they can only do one thing, significant thing that can create change. And I think it's lazy coaching, and I think it's kind of bullying. And you have to go at the pace of the client. Change takes time. Make it achievable. Make sure that they can do it within the time frame that they want to do it, that it's an agreed action, and that it will see the benefits of it and be there to support them. But I do think that's an inexperienced coach that overwhelms a client with too much to deal with, because they don't know how to properly coach, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there, you know, for any of the listeners, I think there's the thing. We see all these big mega people who've said, I've made millions on property, or I've done this, I've done that, I can coach you. But they're not skilled coaches. They don't understand the mind. And yeah, so there's something about the way we do due diligence before we take on a coach, isn't there?
Yeah, and it's very similar, really, coaching and leadership. Sorry, Sam, you go.
No, go ahead, Kim.
So I was just going to say with coaching and leadership, because actually a lot of people end up becoming leaders because they were really good at a particular thing, not because they're necessarily good at listening to people, understanding them, and getting comfortable with holding space for people to be able to tell you how they're feeling, what it means for them, what they're going through, and to take it at their pace. And actually, that's one of the things that we learn as coaches, is to be comfortable to give people that space to hold it for them, and to hold it in a compassionate way. As Carol-Anne just said, you're giving them that time to go at their pace. And I know with some of my clients, they'll tell me they want to do a particular thing in a session, and then they turn up and you're like, can I just check, is there anything else on your mind first? Because there's no point us going down this agenda just because we wrote it and we said we were going to. If right now life has got in your way and something else is trying to take your attention, because if that is the case, let's talk about that. Let's work through that for you. Because I think coaching, like leadership, is about being somebody's critical best friend. But the best friend piece is the important bit, which is you've got to do it from a position of wanting to love and care for the person. The critical best friend is the fact that you want to help them get out of their own way, but doing so in that loving place, isn't it? Sam, sorry, I cut right over you, my love.
No, I was just agreeing with everything you, Carol-Anne and Penny, were saying. I think somebody that does throw, it's really easy, and you're right, it's a sign of an inexperienced coach just to get out everything you've got in your tool bag, and it's a sign of insecurity as well, isn't it? And self-doubt, if that's what you need to do, rather than, you know, I'm just reinforcing what you're saying, Kim. It's listening. Listening for me is the key attribute to a good coach. Really listening, and then taking on board what they're saying, what they need, rather than what you want to give them. And that's typically what we find in an inexperienced coach. They've got their pre-agenda, and, well, okay, so we said we were going to talk about sales this week, so let's talk about sales. But actually, if there's something that's really keeping that person awake at night, or something that's holding them back, and it's not sales, that's what you need to listen to. So, Penny, I hear this all the time, and I think it's rife at the moment, because I think there's been lots of people that have found themselves out of a position and have thought that coaching is easy, and they've set themselves up as a coach, and because they've had success in what they've done in their field, they think it's easy to teach somebody else that, and it isn't. It isn't easy to be a coach at all.
Here, I would totally agree with that. I think people who just say that they're coaches probably mean, I'm going to tell you what to do, which isn't the same as coaching someone so that the person is empowered, inspired and motivated to do their own actions. Just otherwise, you're kind of just a teacher or a trainer, but you're not coaching someone. It's a different thing entirely. So, Kim, how's your week been?
Yeah, it's been full of opportunities to test resilience and to see how we overcome things, which I know is what we want to talk about today. But I think that is life, isn't it? Life throws us the odd plot twist, and we think that we're heading in a particular direction, we're going to be doing a certain thing, and then life does often get in the way. And it reminds me of a time I had to, and actually I don't know if everybody else saw, that Land Rover are unfortunately going to have to make some redundancies, and that took me right back to having to run redundancy programs myself. And I remember sitting in the board the day before we were going to go live, and they were sat there and they said, "Have we got everything planned, Kim? Are we all sorted?" I was like, well, as much as we can. And you could see these horrified faces. Like, what do you mean as much as we can? Like, should we postpone it? And I went, no. So what I mean is, I've planned for everything I can think of. But the piece you need to remember is, we're about to go and tell 1,800 people something that is going to have a massive impact on them and their lives and their family. What I don't know is what's happening to all of those 1,800 people right now. I don't know what other plot twists life is throwing at them. So I can't possibly know how this is going to take its toll with everything else that's coming in. All I can do is make sure that I'm there and I'm willing to hold the space to understand each of them, to understand how they're feeling, and to hold their hand through what it is we're about to do. And I guess whenever I hit those moments of overwhelm, which we all do, it takes me back to that piece that's going, actually, sometimes you've just got to hold the space and be kind and say, do you know what, right now, just do the bits you can focus on and don't beat yourself up for the bits that you can't, because you've got to find your path through. And I guess we do it so well for our clients, for the people that we lead, for their friends and family. And we often don't do it very well for ourselves, particularly not if we're in any form of leadership, whether that's of a team, of an organization, or of our own business. I think it's how do we become our own best friend in those moments?
That's such a good point. And I hope that the England team are being not only their own best friends, but getting the coaching and support that they need right now to handle their sense of responsibility for the disappointment. And it is about responsibility and disappointment go hand in hand, because in business, I'm sure all of you, I've invested in things that haven't worked, huge financial investments that haven't worked. I've invested in people that have let me down. I have trusted things, and the disappointment, when it comes, it hits you and you think, why? What did I not see here? What's wrong with me? And it can turn into a sort of an internal beating up fest. And didn't I go in with my eyes wide open? And actually, that is the key here, is to grab that moment and say, no, I take full responsibility. And yes, I'm not going to ever beat myself up for trusting something, because I think that's a really open-hearted fundamental requirement in life, is to trust. Otherwise, we're always walking around with trust issues. And one of the things I'm going to start putting out on to my graduates is try not to work with clients who've got trust issues, because you're losing a battle there, an ongoing battle of, I don't believe this is going to work, and the coach is hitting the wall anyway. So when I have had disappointments, I try not to harden and get brittle and get mean-spirited, and because that's what you want to do, or even vengeful, or I'm never going near that again, or I might have to tell someone how bad that person was. No, I take full responsibility for what's gone on. The disappointment may take a lot longer to work out. I may need to lie down for a long time, or I may need to have a lot of glasses of wine with friends, or I may have a quiet cry on a park bench. But disappointment is a process, and you learn from it. And there are always, and I've said it before on this, wisdom is healed pain. And, wisdom is a wonderful golden nugget in life. But you don't get wisdom by ignoring, blaming, pushing to one side, being in denial. You have to go through it, as you said, Kim. So that's my take on disappointment. If you're really clever and you do a bit of gold mining, there'll be a fantastic golden nugget at the end of it. And that's what life's about, is those little nuggets of wisdom.
Oh, I love that. Eloquently put, as always. And it always reminds me of that quote that the same water that hardens the egg softens the potato. It isn't the circumstance, it's how you react to it. Penny, my love, I know that you were about to say something.
I wanted to pick up on that word trust, Carol Ann, because I think, you know, when I look back at my moments of disappointment, I took them all very personally. You know, what was my part in this? And obviously there was disappointment in the people in the past, and things that I tried out. And I remember somebody saying to me, and I said, you know, I've really lost trust in people. And this person said, if you've lost trust in people, first look to yourself, you've probably lost trust in yourself. And it really smacked me in the guts, that one, when they said it. And, you know, and I really thought deeply about it. And I had, because I'd lost trust in my ability to do due diligence and to just make decisions that were right for me and all of those things. So I think trust, when you said that, that really resonates with me about disappointment. I mean, it's not, I don't know where trust comes into what happened with the England thing, but I think we all poured so much expectation into those poor lads, didn't we? But the trust is the bit for me.
I know you're absolutely right. I have to just add to that, Penny. When I work with clients who say, I can't trust anyone now because I've been hurt in love, or I've been let down in business, or I lent someone this and I never got it back and I'm really hurt. So my new brittle facade is I don't trust. I always say, if you trust yourself, you will always be okay. So I can't guarantee you'll never have a broken heart again. I can't guarantee you'll make an investment that won't pay off. However, if you know and you trust in you that at the end of the day, you will be okay, that you won't go down, that you will be philosophical, that you'll do what you have to do with your resilience toolkit to pull you up, then you've got all the trust you need, because it's only you need to trust in. So if the worst case scenario happens, will you be okay? And if you can say, yes, I will be, then trust. That's the bottom line.
Oh, I love that. And it's so true, isn't it? You know, I was saying to somebody the other day, we've all of us survived 100% of the challenges life's thrown at us so far, 100% of them. So that's one heck of a batting average. We should, if nothing else, we should trust our ability to be resilient and bounce back. And I think you're right. It's those, you know, I now try and look at things and say, you know, everything in life is either a lesson, a blessing, or both. So if something doesn't feel like a blessing, then I go, okay, what are you teaching me? Come on. Because the faster I learn that lesson, hopefully the faster I'll move out of whatever it is and into something else. Sam, my lovely, what were you going to say?
It just reminded me of a session I did last week, actually, on trust. And we were talking about how to cultivate good connections via trust, and what basis do we judge people's trust on? And what it came down to was, actually, we gravitate towards people like us. We all know that. But we look at our own values, and then we decide whether we're going to judge somebody on their, almost like their culture or their competence. So for me, my biggest value is about fairness and integrity and humility. So when I look at, is somebody trustworthy in my eyes, I don't base them on their skills or their experience or their ego. I look at, how can I trust their humility? How can I trust their integrity? And that's how I judge whether or not I'm going to trust that person, whether it's in business or whether it's in personal. So I think trust is really deep, and I think it's something that's thrusted around a lot, but actually the real core meaning of trust. And when I put this question out to a group of people, like, give me one person in life that you absolutely trust with anything, 100%. Some people said, I can't give you anybody. There's not one person in my life that I solely trust with anything. So that just shows, doesn't it, how difficult trust is.
It is difficult, but we have to learn to trust, because we are, no man or woman is an island. So we are a community. We're all connected. You have to learn to trust. You have to meet strangers head on. I remember someone saying, I go from a position of zero trust and people have to earn my trust. I said, I'm the reverse. I'm like, I give you 100% of my trust. It might go down quite quickly, but I come in heart to heart, looking at you as an equal, and I completely and utterly trust you. it may go down. But whereas other people say, no, you've got to earn it. Well, you're giving the other person a hard time, and you're coming in with a sense of apprehension and distrust. So that's not good energy. So I just think I go in like a taxi cab and I go, okay, full light on, here we go. It might within seconds start going down, but I give you 100% full beam of my total trust as soon as I meet someone. And as I say, it can go down quite quickly, but I'm never going to meet someone straight off and say, I don't trust you, you've got to grow on me. I think that's too much of the other person to live up to,
That's hard, isn't it? And there's a quote, I can't think whose quote it is, but it was the best way to work out whether you can trust somebody is to trust them. So start by trusting first and then work it through. And I know I spent a lot of years going in and doing interim management, and I would go into each place and say, could you do me a favor? Trust that I'm going to do what I said I'd do as your leader, and I will do everything I can to earn that trust and make sure that you never have to feel bad for giving it me, but don't make me earn it first, because it's going to be slow starting and we're going to really struggle to get where we need to be. But you're right, going in and being open-hearted is where we've got to start, because this new person isn't the old person. So we shouldn't be taking our baggage from whatever happened in our previous life and bringing it in and assuming everybody's going to be the same. And I guess I've learned over the years to look at myself and go, am I that odd? Because actually I do think people come from a position of honourable intention most of the time. And I would rather assume everyone's got honourable intention and then deal with the people that haven't when I find them, than assume everybody might have a dishonourable intention and wait not to be disappointed, because it's just an unhappy way of living, isn't it? Whereas when somebody lets me down, it's like, what's it teaching me? Well, it's teaching me something about myself that perhaps I have kept hidden that I need to go and look at. But Penny, my love, what were you about to say?
Oh, I love this content, but I was thinking about this whole topic that Carol-Anne put forward about handling disappointment, and it made me, I was thinking about how do I prep for today, and it did make me think about, when I had massive disappointment in something where I had to take down a crowdfunding that I was doing very well on to build a business, and I think it's about how we handle disappointment. And I learned a really big thing at that point about myself, which was that I was constantly getting disappointment because I actually wasn't living the life I wanted to lead, and I was pushing myself in a direction. And I think sometimes, you said there's lessons in it, it forced me to redesign my life so that it matched my character more, and it made me listen to myself a lot more. And I just wondered if there's something in the conversation around, when you've had disappointment, has it given you a jolt towards a more self-understanding?
100%. I would say that therein lies the lesson. The level of your disappointment is actually to do with something to do with you, not the other person. What you projected onto them or the situation, your hopes, your dreams, your investment of time, love, energy, money, whatever it was, that's where the pain is. They may have done what they've done. But I also, picking up what you said, Penny, it's about, yes, trust, be trusting and open-hearted, but use your instinct too. Really develop a good gut instinct and have your intuition, your little antenna clicking away, because otherwise you'll go from one rotter to another, or one stupid business deal to another. You've got to learn, and what did I learn here, and the pain and the upset of the disappointment, so that when you go forward, you're not distrusting, but you're wiser. And your intuition's a bit more primed, and you know that you're not going to be a sucker for something when you spot the warning signs next time. And it's knowing yourself.
Yeah, and I get that. And what's interesting is, the three of you are real trained professional coaches. How many clients have you sat in front of at the beginning where you've realized they've got really pretty little self-awareness of themselves? And, I had when I'll do it really fast, but when I got into being this mega entrepreneur with the academy, that wasn't me, but I got onto that as a way of life, because I started off thinking I just want to help a few business owners and make them friends, and then it became the first social network, and then it went giant. You get on a path, and it's knowing when your life has gone out of line with who you are, and that takes somebody like you guys to help get back in line with, well, who am I, and create that. I didn't have enough self-awareness. So it's hard to trust yourself when you haven't got that self-awareness, isn't it?
Well, yeah, because I think
people don't have self-awareness, don't they? I think it's quite a rare thing, actually, to be really self-aware. Many people I come across, clients and other relationships, business, do not have that. They have lots of other skills, but self-awareness isn't one of them. But I think going back to the topic of handling disappointment, obviously following Monday's match, things like that happen, like you said, Kim. We think we're on a path of, steady Eddie, if you like, or success, or, a trajectory of great success or results or whatever it might be. And then something will throw a spanner in the works. And the way that I coach clients around this is to make sure they review each and every week. And I encourage them to send it to me for some accountability. But let's deal with that disappointment before you take it into next week. And then that lumps on top of that week's disappointment. And then you take both lumps into the following week. And then it becomes a great big mountain that's so negative. So like you said, Kim, you can always learn from something that comes along and tips your world upside down. But as long as you think, right, okay, that's happened this week. It wasn't great. It wasn't what I expected, but I've done it. I've dealt with it. I've actioned it. And I've put something in place to stop that happening again. That stops us from taking that disappointment, that negative emotion into the following week, which frees up our headspace to be positive, to be proactive, and to regain that control if that's what you're looking for. So I really encourage people to do that, to handle some sort of areas of disappointment.
And I love that. And I think reflecting on what we've done, I've been doing reflections of the week in some level for coming up 20 odd years now, just because it is a great way of looking at, okay, what didn't go as well as I expected this week, and what have I learned from it, but actually what went better than expected, and what am I grateful for? Because I find that if I can just try and make sure I ask myself and answer both of those questions, I keep myself balanced. Because if not, I focus just on the things that have gone wrong, and funnily enough, more things go wrong, because that's where you're putting your energy. And if you can kind of acknowledge them and learn from them, and make sure that you've taken the lessons, but also go, not everything will have gone wrong. Even when things are really bad, I have to look for something. It might be that I've actually had a good hair day or something, but there's got to have been something in that week that I'm grateful for, that I can add in to just get that balance, so that to your point, you've got to keep our energy as high as we can. It's been an amazing topic, ladies, but I've just noticed the time, so we are running vastly out of time. So I'm going to quickly bob around you all to say, if you've got one takeaway for people, what would it be this week? And I'm going to start with you, please, Penny.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm going to pick up what you said, positive reflection. Do some of that. We're programmed, I think it's to actually notice and remember things that are bad 3 times more than things that are good, because our primal brain was to look for fear and keep ourselves safe. So yeah, positive reflection, do that. I think that's really good.
That's great. Caroline, I'll go to you next.
I agree. I hadn't thought about positive reflection, and also what you're disappointed in, because if it keeps coming up each week, that's the thing to work on. Note to self, stop eating so much. I would say my question to our viewers are, what one thing would restore your trust in yourself this week? So what do you need? What one thing do you need to really fully trust yourself?
That's amazing.
Takeaway. Thank you.
I love it. And you're right, isn't it? We've got to get back to that, being able to trust in ourselves and acknowledge that we're going to get through. Sam, my lovely.
That's a great question, Caroline. And I think also, seeing what's happened post the match, and what this country are doing, or a very minority group of people in this country are doing, I think it's, let's trust that they're going to find the right thing and the right words and the right actions moving forward, because I thought this country had moved on. I really did.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think there's been some things to be proud of and some things not to be proud of. And I think it reminds me of the one thing I always try and say to Scarlett, which is be kind and do your best and then learn from it. And I think, if we can't be kind first, we're on a hiding to nothing. So my hope for everybody is that they are kind to themselves and each other, and that we collectively find a way through. So if you would like to join us here on Business Blondes, we would love to have you. So please do come along to www.businessblondes.tv. But until then, and until next week, we hope that you stay safe, stay well, stay kind. Take care.